Hello everyone, welcome back to OptimizEvony. As I'm sure most of you are actually aware at this point, the keep level has increased. We now can go to K50, and I'm already there. Just kidding, I just showed you that I'm not there. Um, as expected, there is a pretty major paywall in front of it. So let's look at it. Typically the paywall kind of comes in at like the first keep level, right? So you can't even get to K44 until you get past that paywall. So let's look at the requirements. Resource requirements aren't crazy. It's about the same as what everything was last time. Um, yeah, I'm not too concerned about the res. Honestly, I'm more concerned about the other things. Obviously, walls. Pasture is going to be a little bit of annoying because mine is not at not even close to 45 yet. I have updated it obviously to try and keep pace with the spiritual beasts, but um, it's definitely not to 45. Uh, but that's fine. I can do that. That's only res and speeds. Let's look at victory column 11 because that is typically where the paywall kind of comes in. And that was what it was for K45. You needed to have, I think, 4 generals with max specialties. I think that's blocked a bunch of people, and honestly is still blocking a bunch of people who didn't have a lot of fully spec'd out generals before K45 dropped. So let's take a look at this. So yes, I do have level 10, level 11. Of course, you get some stuff here, but the main thing we're doing is unblocking K46. So this requires Academy level 45. Again, res isn't crazy here, and Academy 45 will require some res, but again, not too worried about that because that can come over time. The main thing I'm worried about is this insane requirement here. 4 generals at 12.5 million and above power at the same time. I do not have a single general, as you can see, at 12.5 million and above power. And I mean, I wouldn't consider my account to be like, a bad account, right? Like I have, a number of generals with full civ gear. Um, I could do a little bit more amplification and things like that, but like, I, I'm definitely in the top 5 on the server in terms of like general power and things like that. And I don't have a single one. Um, this is going to take a long time. I'll be honest. This is really annoying. And yeah, I'm not super excited about it. You will get a little bit of a boost because you can now upgrade your Monarch level if you are already at Monarch 45. I used all of my stuff and got like 46 halfway to 47. So I got like a little bit of a boost in terms of power from that. I think it was like 55,000 for going from general level 45 to level 46. Obviously, that'll increase as you go to 50, but the requirements are pretty insane for that. Yeah, let's just take a look at that. So I'm already halfway there. So it looks like each one is a little bit over a million, which or a billion Monarch XP, which is just wild. I'm sure I know some accounts are already at Monarch 50, but a lot of accounts, even accounts that people spend a lot of money on, are not there yet. So yeah, well, that's going to be something interesting to see. Is it's not going to be a huge help. And honestly, the people who are going to be able to take advantage of that fastest are going to be the people who already have spent enough that probably already have this requirement done, or maybe they need one more general or something like that. Um, but yeah, it seems like there's a ton of like cross building requirements. Like that was Academy. Before I was talking about Pasture. So again, level 38 needs to be upgraded to level 45. So that'll be a decent chunk of of stuff because I also need to upgrade the warehouse along with that. Um, but yeah, so this video, I'll be honest, there is a ton of stuff with K50, so I am going to have to break it into multiple videos. Otherwise, it would be like an hour plus talking through everything. And quite frankly, I haven't figured everything out because there's just so much stuff that has changed. And so this video itself is going to be more of a basic introduction of, what things have been added. For the most part, I'm sure there will be things that I don't touch on in this video, and I'll have to follow up on in a future video. But yeah, so that's kind of what this is going to be. I'm going to join this Viking because the next thing that I'm going to talk about is you notice that I talked about Academy increasing. They did actually add some new tech for the normal Academy, which is great because basically all this requires is speeds, research stones, which most people have, a ton of anyways, and gold. So, but gold is going to be in short supply. I think I was talking to someone who had maxed, I think, 47 or 48 Academy, and it was like 72 billion gold. So going to take a little bit, but might as well join those Vikings for now. I had actually kind of stopped joining Vikings because I had enough gold, and they just kind of were draining the stamina. But yeah, some good attacking and defensive tech. Um, One thing that's kind of interesting here is that the um, Covenant. So this is rallying capacity. One thing that they seem to have done, and we'll see this in the military academy as well, is they seem to have started to go for a base, not a base. I shouldn't say base because it doesn't apply as a base. It's just a flat number. Increase in terms of rallying capacity, march size, like all of those things have changed to flat numbers instead of percents. I think they might have realized that with percents, the building upgrades and like other increases that you get, it just like explodes way too fast. And so yeah, it is just kind of an interesting thing though because we're used to seeing big percents, and now we're getting more flats for that. And there's also some flats in here as well. Like for example. This is range troop attack. This is a flat percent, and this, of course, applies on both sides. So that applies for defense too. So I guess a small buff to lower tier archers there. I think there's a ones for other troop types as well. Um, let's join the Serb too, because it is a lot of speeds. I will say that is the main thing that I'm worried about is the speeds. It's going to be insane. It's also insane in terms of res, but we expected that. Okay, so of course there is more military academy stuff. Um, Kind of the exciting thing here is that it does allow you to use your existing tactic scrolls. So for people who have been stockpiling their tactic scrolls, you can still use those here. There is a new tactic scroll kind of like thing that you need to upgrade them. I think it's like past like level 2 on like the at least like the big ones. So like level 2 and level 3, I think you need additional things that you can get. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the blocker right now. That's the main reason why we do not have a K50 right now, because there is no way to get these new tactic scrolls besides a few things, and they're capped a few ways. So we'll see kind of what happens. Like, will they add those scrolls in like a Y7, a Yimmer 7, for example, or they have added them for the new bosses. So there's a new boss 22 and boss 23, normal bosses. But those like drop like two at a time. So it's gonna take a long time before anyone actually gets enough to actually do anything with. Okay, yeah, rallying capacity. So this is a percent. I thought that the March size ones um, were still flat ones here. Let me just double check and try and find it. Okay, so this March size is percent, but let me go and see the first one. I thought the first one was a okay, so this one's flat number, and I believe the first one is flat number as well. So really, you have to get into like the last kind of levels to start getting those percent increases again, which is where it's going to get even crazier. So both one and two are 7,500. Of course, there's also the Siege and Archer one. That's kind of what they've stuck with is like a melee and then a long range. They kind of have the same thing here. It's just they didn't call them melee and long range. They should have just done that, honestly, or just added it to the existing ones. But it is kind of nice to have a different tier so that you can kind of separate it out. Um, no change to dragon levels, no change to champion levels. Um, of course, there is a change to March size. Let's take a look at what the base is going to. So it's going up to 1.12 million, which is a pretty decent increase. Obviously, the percent scale on these base numbers, and so any increase in those base numbers is a pretty big increase in your actual March size. Um, you know, Same thing with Warhol. Yeah, I am very glad that this happened before All Stars because uh, I got hit with a 150 million rally in All Stars, and that hurt a lot. I can't even imagine getting hit with like a 160, 170, whatever the max is going to be at, like, at least where people are stuck now. Um, so yeah, let's keep going on with the update. There are now these carriages that you can do. You can get some minor rewards. You can plunder people's carriages. This doesn't seem to be working super well, but if you find them on like on the actual world map, you should be able to plunder them, and you get like one of these things, right? So you have four plungers in a day, and yeah, you basically get one of those. So there's a bunch of crap, and like typically one thing that you actually want. Not a huge change to this here. I don't know. We'll see if there's better rewards added in the future. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing. The other thing I will also call out here is that they did add a new tier. You have to get to K50 to actually unlock it. I think by the time you get to K50, you'll be pretty close. I think there's going to be a similar strategy uh, to what we had with K45, where it's going to require a lot of the troop buildings. Nobody knows yet because nobody has gotten past K48 because it requires those scrolls again. But yeah, one thing I do want to talk about is these visitors. So basically, you have these envoys, which give you like different benefits. I think there maybe is a cap on these because you can see that I'm not actually getting any resources or anything like that from those, which you typically do. So maybe there's a cap at like 20 or something like that per day. But now there are also um, these villagers that you basically can add into your city, and they give some small buffs. Um, and I will show you how to actually, look at those. It's really annoying that thing pops up all the time. But the one thing I have noticed is it seems like you have to stay on the game for a long time to basically get them to stack up and get new villagers. And then there's different levels to the villagers themselves. You can do quick assign, but each one has like their own special buff. So obviously research speed is going to be amazing, but it's not a huge percent. And this is an uncommon one. Or I don't know what they actually are, but like this one's just kind of the basic one. This one's like one upgraded. and you basically get a random, thing every time a new citizen pops up. And then you can also, of course, go here to citizen list, recruit citizens. You can get one for free per day, but otherwise you can recruit them using these, which you can purchase via gems. Let's just purchase one via gems and show you what it is. So you click here. Nice, Dr. Eliza. So yeah, so that's kind of there. Obviously, like the better ones are going to give you better buffs. It's not like crazy buffs. It's not actually even buffs. It's just some increase in like production and research and healing speeds and things like that. Also, training capacity and training speed. Not huge again, like 30, 30, 20. But obviously you'll be filling out all of the army camps. And then, yeah, this is basically this is reliant on the number of these that you have. Like for example, as you can see, I only have one sawmill, and so I only have 4 slots for a sawmill. I might change that a little bit because I do use wood a bit more than some of the things. In fact, like I can reduce farms quite a bit because I have other alts and things like that that can supply me with food. Um, and yeah, I don't need to be as food heavy on my farm selection there. So that is something that you should be aware of. Is like, okay, like yeah, you can see why there's 3 people resting, and that's basically because I don't have any more room for people here. So obviously you'll get to a point where you've filled all of these up, and it'll essentially only be flipping in the upgrades to these guys. But yeah, not a huge difference in buffs, I'll be honest. But it is what it is. Definitely try and do that. Again, need to join this Cerberus. One thing that I have noticed is that the uh, the favorite generals doesn't seem to be working correctly. Like if you toggle this, it'll work here, but when you're joining bosses, it doesn't actually work correctly, which is really annoying, and is costing me a bunch of stamina because I have stamina gens that are listed in my favorites, and I use those when joining bosses and things like that. So it is a bit annoying there. So yeah, currently, we've talked about the academy, military academy, the kind of villager people, and I think the last thing that I'll do in this video, and then I'll cut it before making a new video, is there is a new equipment upgrade that you can do. So if you remember, we have like the Parthian rings, and now we can go to Apollo rings. And this requires that you have battle-tested specialty fragments and Forge Master certificates, as you would have had to upgrade to the Parthian ring, and then Shrine 36 for this and Forge 30. This is going to be one thing that does help you upgrade. Um, it is going to help you with some of those like mostly the earlier VC requirements because it is going to give you a little bit more general power. So let's just do this and see. Um, let's just take a look at how much power it actually is. There is. So it's locked at 450, which is not super high. Like obviously you can see, a fully amplified, ring is more than double that. But it's roughly equivalent, a little bit less than like the bracers. This doesn't have any refines on it, by the way, so it should probably be able to get into the 500, 600K range. But yeah, so that is going to be one thing that I do want to call out is that you can now upgrade your subsidy gear if you're using kind of the Imperial or Parthian stuff. You can start upgrading that, and that'll give you additional. I think it's like an additional 2 here, but these stats will also upgrade as well. So that is one kind of saving grace, is that you'll have a little bit more debuff. Debuff has been lagging way behind attacking, and so we desperately need that. We also need way more than what they're giving us, but at least it's a bit of a start. Yeah, so definitely make sure that you start the process of upgrading your gear. Um, I wouldn't do it unless you have like I have here. I have some Civ gear here and like some different sets. Then you can upgrade them relatively independently. But otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't break a set to upgrade one piece because you're going to be missing out on the enemy troop attack set bonus. So likely your debuffs will overall decrease if you end up breaking a set, unless you again have it already broken. So those ones are easy to upgrade. So yeah, start going on those. Get those debuffs up because you are going to need it. I'm sure I haven't seen what the March size is at like K48 or even K46. What how much of an increase it actually is, but I assume, I mean, we're going to be seeing 10K or 10 million marches easily, pretty soon, I think. And those rallies are going to only get bigger, and so obviously, if you're facing some of the top teams, you're going to be getting hit with 150 million plus rally cap, probably I don't know what the new cap is, but it's probably getting close to 200 million. And that's just insane because I don't think the reinforcement cap is not that strong, at least until you start upgrading your embassy. Like I have mine at 45, and my at least outside of Battlefield, mine's at 81 million. So imagine that. Obviously, that increases when I get into Battlefield, but even so, like it's maybe going to be like 95 in Battlefield, and I'm going to be possibly getting hit with like 150 million plus rallies. That's not a good ratio. You want to be able to have enough reigns to basically one v one your rally. Um, but yeah, as I mentioned before, this is just part one of the K50 upgrade. There is a lot more to cover. There's new like VIP stuff. There's a whole bunch of new decorations, things like that. All that I will cover in a different video because this one is already long enough. And honestly, I need to figure out some of the additional stuff, like for example, the new building, the wishing dome, wisdom dome. So, yeah, I'll be putting out another video relatively shortly after this. And yeah, as always, if you're not subscribed already, do subscribe so that you're notified when those new videos drop. And thank you for watching. I appreciate your support. I'll see you in the next video.